Right now at 6, Eric Toney announcing his run for Wisconsin Attorney General, his message to voters. Plus, UW La Crosse launches its 6th annual one-day fundraiser, how the event is making a big impact for students.
Watching WKBT La Crosse, this is News 8 Now at 6.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for News 8 Now at 6. I'm Emily Brown. Ken is off tonight. Republican Eric Toney is jumping into the Wisconsin Attorney General race. News 8 Now's Grace Monk is in the newsroom with reaction. Grace.
Toney was in Monroe County today, already courting voters. He has served as Fond du Lac's County District Attorney since 2012. He previously ran for Attorney General in 2022, but lost the race to incumbent Attorney General Josh Kaul. Toney says he plans to focus on public safety, restoring accountability in state crime labs, and confronting the fentanyl crisis.
As Attorney General, I will serve all of you. I will defend the law equally, no matter who holds power, and it's time to turn the page and elect an Attorney General that's going to put public safety over politics.
As Attorney General, Toney says he would address the border crisis and the impact it has on Wisconsin. And we asked Kaul about Toney's announcement, but he declined to comment. In the newsroom, Grace Monk, News 8 Now.
Thank you, Grace. Attorney General Josh Kaul also visiting the region today. He joined law enforcement and health department officials at the La Crosse Sheriff's Office to raise awareness for National Drug Take-Back Day on Saturday. Wisconsinites are encouraged to turn over any unused medications to law enforcement. The event offers a safe and responsible way to dispose of unneeded drugs while combating potential abuse of prescription drugs.
You know, if you go back a number of years, what we saw was people developing substance use disorder through addiction to prescription painkillers, and that could lead to other types of addiction, as well as dangerous addiction in and of itself.
More than 266 agencies across the state will participate in the event. You can find a location near you on the Department of Health Services website. We have that link on news8000.com. Now, a News 8 follow-up. Wisconsin's food share program will run out of funding in 10 days due to the government shutdown. That's according to Governor Tony Evers. The federally funded program helps feed nearly 700,000 Wisconsinites, but that funding has been cut off until the government reopens. Evers also said Wisconsin WIC, a nutrition program for women, infants, and children, will still be available. Well, major changes could be coming to La Crosse's downtown river area. News 8 Now's Allison Fergut explains.
A redevelopment plan looks to bring new life to La Crosse's downtown river area, from new housing to potentially a new public market. The plan looks at how vacant lots can be better used in the future, while also improving some established spaces. One of the centerpieces of the proposal, a new public market near the Oktoberfest grounds. Previous city studies found that adding a public market downtown would be transformational to the community and the larger region. The plan also proposes creating around 500 new housing units.
I think for young professionals, for senior citizens, people of pretty much every age, every income, there's a big advantage to having more housing in the downtown area.
The redevelopment plan also centers on making aesthetic improvements to the Oktoberfest grounds, a large tourism draw for the area. Right now, the plans are all just concepts. The city will still need to get approval from property owners to achieve the redevelopments. La Crosse's Common Council will vote on whether to pursue the plan in November. Reporting in La Crosse, Allison Fergut, News 8 Now.
The University of Wisconsin-La Crosse is holding its 6th annual One Day for UWL fundraising event. The 24-hour campaign raised $529,000 last year. This year, the goal is $600,000, and of that goal, they've already raised over $438,000.
Hugely important day for the university. We are raising funds for all areas of campus, and it's really a day that the UWL community gets to come together and celebrate what it means to be an Eagle too.
Donations support scholarships, athletics, and academic programs. The event has raised $1.8 million over the previous 5 years. Well, it felt like fall today. The cooler temps, the rain, the colors of the leaves, and we had to get our jackets out today for sure, Greg.
Yeah, it felt more like early November for a lot of people. It's definitely a shock because we just stayed in the 40s today. Even apparent temperatures or feel like temperatures were in the upper 30s at times with that wind and shower activity, which persists here through this evening. You can see radar right there, a lot of activity going on, but it's light precipitation overall. Big picture shows you it's all wrapping around a system to the northwest, so northwest to southeast movement of all this activity, where we're still remaining in the 40s, and we really haven't moved too much in precipitation wise. But Eau Claire, we're starting to see a little bit more filling in. Those are your current wind speeds, and they are starting to come up this evening. As you know, Menominee 20 to 20 up at Rice Lake too. So that wind is starting to come up, and it probably will be peaking this evening. And we even got some sustained winds getting up to 25 in some of these other areas further south, including Black River Falls up to 18. You see most of the precipitation is to the west, right where La Crosse is, and there's actually a little bit of an area coming in. So La Crosse, expect to see precipitation to pick up here in the next 30 minutes with that area coming. And further south, wind speeds too. Continue to see showers too. So the main issue this evening, is going to be the winds, and we're going to have precipitation, chilly temps. Later on, we'll kind of break down when we'll finally get out of this pattern and get back to maybe some 60-degree weather too a bit later in the broadcast.
All right, thanks, Greg. Area students are learning about the magic of nature. In the spring, 2,000 students planted seeds in their school garden. Throughout the year, educators from the nonprofit GROW taught multiple lessons, teaching where food comes from, what it takes to grow it, and how to prepare the garden. A focus of today's lesson, the functions of different kinds of roots.
These lessons really give kids a chance to get their hands in the dirt. They get to see where their food comes from, how it grows. They have a lot of opportunities to try that food.
Some of the vegetables grown by the students will go straight to their cafeteria. Still to come, a network outage shutting down services at CVS locations nationwide, how it's impacting customers, and Vice President J.D. Vance arriving in Israel, his push to keep peace in the Middle East when we come back.
Tomorrow at 5 a.m., it'll affect millions. The next big thing, closing and the government shutdown, plus which fast food chain has the quickest drive-through, and Art is tracking some more rain when we see you at 5 a.m.
Vice President J.D. Vance arrived in Israel today to try and prevent the ceasefire with Hamas from collapsing. The vice president is expected to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu following fighting over the weekend. Natalie Brand is at the White House with the latest on the peace deal.
Vice President J.D. Vance emphasized the White House remains fully committed to fulfilling its 20-point peace plan.
What we've seen the past week gives me great optimism the ceasefire is going to hold.
Vance joined Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who returned to the region this week to work on implementation.
Both sides are transitioning from 2 years of very intense warfare to now a peacetime posture.
Despite new fighting over the weekend, Hamas's top negotiator said today it's committed to ending the war. President Trump Tuesday warned Hamas that allies have offered to go in and, quote, straighten out Hamas. The president said not yet, but if violence doesn't stop, an end to Hamas will be, quote, fast, furious, and brutal.
The administration says there will not be U.S. boots on the ground in Gaza, but American troops are part of the efforts to coordinate humanitarian aid and monitor the ceasefire.
The vice president visited the Civilian Military Coordination Center for private briefings with members of the military.
This facility will be the hub for the delivery of everything that goes into Gaza as we look to the future.
Wow. Witkoff and Kushner met with some of the living hostages and their families freed from captivity just a week ago.
We met with 10 hostages and their families, and it was really an emotional moment. And I felt blessed to be in that room.
Hamas is still in the process of returning the deceased hostages to Israel, with the remains of an Israeli sergeant major returned overnight. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Developing news, there will be no second summit between the U.S. and Russia. Last week, President Trump said he and Vladimir Putin were meeting in Budapest in 2 weeks. The topic, ending the war in Ukraine. The White House didn't share any more details on why the talks are now on hold. A Texas man has been indicted for murder after allegedly shooting a boy who was reportedly playing a ding-dong ditch prank. Investigators say 11-year-old Julian Guzman was part part of a group of children ringing doorbells and running away before anyone could answer. The group targeted Leon's home, where Leon allegedly came outside and shot Guzman in the back. The 11-year-old later died at the hospital. Leon is currently held on a $1 million bond. Authorities in France are racing to track down the crooks who stole some priceless royal jewels from the Louvre Museum in Paris. Officials say the heist happened in less than 8 minutes Sunday. They entered on the backside using a basket lift before smashing display cases and taking 9 items, including a pearl and diamond tiara and a sapphire-studded necklace and earrings. Best-selling author Daniel Silva, who has written numerous books featuring art thefts, discussed the real-life saga.
There's a trend in museum heists toward staying away from paintings that are much harder to move and going after objects like this that can be repackaged, as it were, and broken down and melted and slipped onto the market that way. This is worth millions of dollars, even at black market prices. I mean, this is a big score.
As they made their getaway, the thieves did leave one item behind, a diamond-studded crown. Authorities have said the suspect the heist is linked to is an organized crime network. A system outage is disrupting service at some CVS pharmacies across the country. The company said a network connection issue is preventing certain locations from delivering medicine to customers. Frustrated customers have flooded social media with complaints, saying they can't pick up prescriptions or get tests and vaccines. CVS said most locations remain operational and they're working to restore service as quickly as possible. We'll have more news ahead, but first.
Yeah, we're going to see less rain going into Wednesday, but that chilly and cloudy conditions will continue. We'll break down when we'll actually see more sunshine and maybe 60 degrees. That all coming up on your First One Weather Update after the break. Yeah, we're going to have rain conditions here continue this evening too. In fact, still got it basically hanging around the Mississippi River area. Still in the 40s. It's going to be wet conditions. If we kind of zoom in right now, we're starting to see a little bit more kind of wrapping around. So it's starting to fill in a little bit, but notice the wind speeds in Menominee and Eau Claire starting to come back up. So the winds are starting to increase this evening. As we go further south, you can see most of the activity is to the west, but the wind speeds 25 to 32 out of the west-northwest. And these are sustained, too, so you're having some higher gusts. That's going to be the problem continuing. And La Crosse, you're starting to get a little bit of an area of more steadier light rain that was up towards Winona, towards Red Wing. It's kind of come to southeast. That's going to be here for probably for the next 30 to 45 minutes. And the wind speeds also have come up, too. And further south, similar story, especially to get to the ridge lines, too. Those areas could get sustained winds 25 to 30 this evening. They will back off, but it's really, that's what we're going to be dealing with. Big picture shows it's all wrapping around the low well to the northwest. That's what we're dealing with this evening and about until midnight. That's when the shower activity or light rain will persist. Eventually, as we go further on towards the later half of the night, it will start lifting northeast and kind of out of the area. So activity will kind of diminish a little bit after midnight, especially if you're further west of the river. But that still will continue for areas that are along I-94 and further east. As you wake up tomorrow morning, really it's going to be cloud cover persisting. You see temperatures kind of falling back into the 40s, but some areas further west really will be a little bit of sun clearing skies. You see Rochester down to the upper 30s, and that wind will continue. There will be a little bit of shower activity, but most areas, I think, west of the interstate are going to remain dry for most of the day. In fact, if you're west of the river towards maybe that half, you might see a little bit of break in the clouds at times, but still, it's going to be cloudy for most of the day, and the winds will persist with a little bit of shower activity all the way through the evening. Eventually, as we get to Wednesday evening commute, we'll start seeing the winds back off and the skies begin to clear up a little bit, setting the stage for a kind of a chilly going into Thursday morning. Overall, the wind speed, this is the wind gust. You've seen the speeds around 20 to 25. Gusts this evening could be 35 to potentially 40. They will, as I've been, back off a little bit as we go towards after midnight. Waking up tomorrow morning, gust more in that 20 to 25, occasionally higher. Towards the afternoon, that's when we're going to probably start seeing them kind of back off these gusts, more just sustained 10 to 15 and lighter winds going into Wednesday night. Overall, Wednesday night and Thursday, we're going to see temperatures get back close to freezing. The only thing probably keeping us above freezing for Thursday morning is a little bit of wind and some cloud cover. So we'll maybe potentially see some, but really going into Thursday, the better thing is it can be light winds, more sunshine, so temperatures back into the 50s, a few degrees below average, but all in all, a much better day for Thursday. And Friday morning, if you haven't seen a frost or freeze yet, I think it's going to happen Friday. A lot of areas, this is probably a little bit too warm yet. I think we're getting the mid to upper 20s. Some areas have already saw it, but a lot of areas haven't. That'll be the reason. But otherwise for Friday, we're looking actually fairly nice. A lot of 50s, about where we should be. Plenty of sunshine, a few clouds, but all in all, a nice end to the work week and getting rid of all these cloud conditions and wind and wet conditions. Unfortunately, once we get past the weekend, we got another system that approaching that looks pretty large and impressive too. So that'll be more wind and rainfall coming back into the picture, and we'll kind of fine tune that as we get closer to the event. But we just got to make it way through Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday, all in all, aren't shaping up to be too bad.
And you would say we're in the middle of peak season for leaves right now, right?
It's probably happening some point this weekend for the area, and then next week I think we're going to be past it by that point. But we'll see. Like I said, we got wind to deal with, which just tend to take the leaves off
Thursday and
pretty
Friday,
quick.
everyone go see them. They're beautiful. I saw them in
Hopefully.
3 states this weekend. What a sight. All right, thanks, Greg. Coming up next in sports, a Badger football legend speaks on the current state of college football. Plus, the Wisconsin men's basketball team preps for an exhibition on Friday. Jacob is up next.
Covering all the exciting action from your community, here's News 8 Now Sports with Jacob Lenzendorf.
Well, the Badger men's basketball team is just a few days away from their first exhibition of the season as they'll take on the Oklahoma Sooners from the Pfizer Forum on Friday. Wisconsin just wrapping up their annual red and white scrimmage on Sunday, and the Kohl Center had quite the crowd as fans are excited for the season to get underway. Despite UW only having a handful of returners back from a season ago, transfer guard Nick Boyd says this team has the traits to breed a successful season.
As long as you're unselfish and want to play for each other, the sky's the limit. So I think we have a base of that and a foundation of that. And obviously the wins and losses we'll see as the year goes on. But if you have a foundation of unselfishness and guys who want to play for each other, you can make something special out of that.
Badgers will scrimmage UW-Platteville next Wednesday, and then the regular season gets underway on Monday, November 3rd against Campbell from Madison. Meanwhile, the Wisconsin football program is spiraling, having lost their 5th game in a row over the weekend, and those in charge around the team are trying to find ways to get the ship turned around. But one former Badger legend says the landscape of college football as a whole needs to be reworked.
It's because they have a salary cap, because they're all on equal playing field. There's a draft, obviously, which is something you won't have in college football, at least from what I hear. But at least having equal pay among the teams to be able to go out and, from a financial resources standpoint, trying to keep that equal is going to be the #1 thing to be able to have a little more parity in college football.
And to hear more from Joe Thomas and News 3 Now Sports Director Andrew Banstra, tune into the Wisconsin Huddle on Friday at 6:30 right here on News 8. And earlier today, Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell telling reporters that Carson Wentz will get his 5th start of the season for Minnesota on Thursday against the Chargers. O'Connell also said J.J. McCarthy went through an on-field workout this morning, and it was deemed that his ankle is not ready yet for him to make a return. This last week, Carson Wentz was 26 of 42 for 313 yards and 2 interceptions in a 6-point loss to Philadelphia. And a check on the News 8 Pick'em total tallies, I guess. Kate had 12 correct this past week. Emily, you and Ken both had 11, and I was bringing up the rear with 9 out of 15 correct. Yeah. Ryan O'Donnell from La Crosse, perfect 15 out of 15 this week. One of just 22 in the entire country to get all 15. So congratulations to him.
Good
but
for him.
A good week for you. Great week for Kate.
Okay. Yeah, I was just telling you earlier, I'm just always sticking with the Texans. Yeah. Not the smartest idea, but I think my picture's bad luck too. I need to change that out. It doesn't even look like me.
We got to talk to production about that one.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we've got Greg has a final look at your forecast right after this.
All right, it's going to be a wet, chilly, windy evening. The good news for Wednesday, not as much rain, but still chilly conditions. And Thursday and Friday, it's looking to be a little bit better with more sunshine and back to sequel conditions. So just hang in there for another day or so.
All right, get cozy tonight. Good sleeping weather. Thanks for joining us tonight at 6. We'll see you at 10.